No, I can't find my phone holder for the tripod. I'm so pissed. Like, I got all this gear, but when I need it, it ain't there. Well, anyway, I think I'll double post this. This is currently my biggest channel. Well, depending on which one you're watching on. The Hard Tard is my current biggest channel. But my personal vlog is where I put political stuff and shit like this. So, if you like content like this, remember the Hard Tard here has a different type of content. There's more of me talking over on Bigwood Vlogs. Today we're going to talk about Candace Owens. She came out and said publicly she is leaving the cult of science. And she said that she's not a flat earther, but she's also not a round earther. So I don't know what the third option is. Dason, the crazy dude I had to beat up, was telling me about hollow earth. Another wild conspiracy theorist. But I want you to take a step back and think about the profundity of this situation. An elected representative at the federal level, a major political person, Candace Owens, has publicly renounced science and indicated she doesn't believe in the globe and round earth. Kids are supposed to look up to and respect our leaders. But when you have someone that stupid that rises to position of power over and over, it's concerning. If you're dumb enough to believe flat earth, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. I'm actually anti-democratic, and that's part of the reason. Dumb people shouldn't be allowed to vote. If you're that stupid, I'm an elitist. I think only the top, say 10%, at least half. But what I really would prefer is like the top 10%. We do it by test scores. And yeah, I know the system's rigged, blah, blah, blah. White people do better, Asian students do better. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The bottom are so dumb that they drag us all down with them. It doesn't take someone very bright to be above flat earth. You're talking the bottom 10% of people are flat earth. Maybe not even that many. Hopefully it's not 10%. Hopefully there's not as many gay people as there are flat earthers. That would be horrible. But hopefully it's like 2% or some shit. Or less than that. But if we only listened to the top 10%, let's say we are off a little bit, and we accidentally listen to the top 13% or the top 7%. We miss it a little bit. We're a little off. You know what? It doesn't matter. As long as we keep that bottom 10% away from a big wide gap, getting it pretty close. There are so many things wrong with our education system. One of the things that I have a big problem with is the separation of the 50 states. 50 states have 50 different educational systems, and they don't agree. A lot of people don't know this, but the show Cosmos, the new one with Neil deGrasse Tyson, when they aired it, I believe it was Oklahoma. I'm not sure on the state, but one of those red states. It doesn't really matter if it was Nebraska or but one of them wouldn't let it air on public television without an edit. I forget the exact edit, but it was something anti-creationist, like something about evolution. So no one could see the regular Cosmos show because the religious conservatives, the crazies, the bottom 10%, and it's more than 10%. It's half in America. It's more than half of people don't believe in evolution. And none of them should be allowed to vote. If you don't understand evolution, you should not be allowed to vote. You're stupid, you're gullible. And you're a religious pawn. A religious pawn. There's no question when it comes to evolution. And if you think there is, we don't need to be talking about macro stuff, like whether or not there's a God or Satan and Apple and Eve and all that. No. If you don't believe in evolution, what you need is to get back to basic principles. You need more math, and I'm talking arithmetic and division and multiplication and statistics especially. You need more science, specifically chemistry. If you don't automatically understand DNA, sexual recombination, progression by evolution, if you don't get that chemical stuff, it makes you susceptible. Like my father doesn't believe in evolution. He's a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. The thing is, if you understood chemistry well enough to understand what non-ionizing radiation means, you wouldn't have that problem. You couldn't be a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. But he doesn't understand chemistry. He doesn't understand the atoms realigning based on the electrons in their outer shell. He doesn't understand the basic concept of chemistry. A non-ionizing radiation means is the radiation isn't strong enough to change one electron position. It's a quantized thing. It's a unit. It's a 1 or a 0, like a computer. If you're below the level of moving one electron, it doesn't change physical matter at all. It can't ever. A single, not an atom, an electron. A single electron to alter the chemistry. We're way smaller than an atom. You know, atoms made of several protons, several neutrons, several electrons. And they're composite quarks and gluons and all that. But if the energy is insufficient, if it will not create an ion is an atom or molecule with an altered electron count. If it doesn't change the electron count, if it's less than one, not the whole electron, but to change it, to cause it to change states. It's like a light switch that you can push on a light switch that has some resistance. You can push on a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder. At some point, click, it'll move. But no matter how many times you lightly tap the top of a solid light switch, or even the push button ones, touch it, apply force, but not enough to click it. If you don't actuate it. And we're not talking macro effects now. We're talking the individual micro quantized effects. If one electron will not move, it doesn't change matter. It doesn't change anything. It cannot cause cancer. It cannot alter the chemistry of something. It makes no physical change. It's just frequency oscillations in a field. Like waves in a pool. but you can't. The waves in the pool, if you don't splash the beach ball out, it'll stay in the pool. It'll rise a little bit, but you doesn't. Actually, that's not even a good example because that's moving. It's lifting and lowering. It doesn't move. It never. Non-ionizing radiation doesn't cause chemistry to shift, particles to move. It doesn't do anything. And this is quantized. We know, we can calculate exactly how much energy, and it's energy over a surface area and at a time interval and all that. But I'm not a actual physicist where I can do all those equations from my head, from memory, but I can follow those equations and have in school and went through. I'm pretty good with doing equations. I know some of the math behind this stuff, and I don't have every formula memorized, but back in the day when I was in school, I could go through. So it's like, you remember geometric formulas from high school, like the Pythagorean theorem and stuff, like how to calculate triangles, stuff, those same type of rules. And with non-ionizing radiation, there is no chance of causing cancer or any other change. They're just taking a frequency, which is a time thing, and then pulling it. Like, is it energized at this time, and then a microsecond later? I don't know the exact gigahertz is like billionths of a meter. Maybe I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess on anything, but when people trip about, 5 gigahertz is worse than 2.4 gigahertz. No, you're full of shit. That's just the timing clock. It makes no difference. Both are non-ionizing. That's just the different frequency bands. And that becomes an on or off binary on that. At 456, I shouldn't use a specific number. The 5 gigahertz, it's 5 billion times per second. This is one of those things that I could look over an explanation of 2 minutes and get a collegiate level thesis together. You could refresh my memory very easily on the extreme details of all this shit. But you just have to harp in that point. He's a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, anti-science guy, and he doesn't understand basic chemistry. Well, we're talking about a single electron moving, which would, we never explained the other half of it, when you change the electron structure of a molecule, it changes the physical shape of the molecule. It changes how it's folded up, and can even change the bonds between the atoms. It can cause the molecule to break apart, and if you add an electron, you can separate, to like hydrolysis with making hydrogen from water. You're adding extra energy to separate the two atoms, and you're replacing a whole electron. But that's per reaction. DNA is a strip of complex molecules, and at each juncture, in the middle of the two strands, they are joined by the cross members. In the middle of the cross members, the point where they connects, there's a series of atoms that form a molecule with the other side, and it's several. I don't know off the top of my head. I think those are just hydrogens, and It's a small. It's like a 2 or 4 electron connection, something like that. Hydrogens are frequently used as the connectors on the tip of a molecule. And I vaguely know how to calculate by counting the protons and the valence levels of how many it can hold. It just goes 2. I think it goes straight to 8. Maybe not. The first couple, I'd have to look up the rules on, but 8 is the bulk of it. After this, the first electron valence level is 2. The third for sure is 8. I'm not sure if the second has. There's some weird rules. Like you couldn't have 3 protons, and then 2 electrons fill the inner shell, 8 electrons fill the outer shell. That's 10 electrons and 3 protons. I don't think you can do that. There's some rule that there's a weird thing, but then 8, and then each of the valence levels for all the heavier stuff. Every atom just has 1 more proton, and therefore 1 more electron to be magnetically stable with positive and negative charge is stable isotope. Or excuse me, stable ion. But the isotope is getting into the other stable part of forming nucleuses of atoms. And after you get so many, you have to have neutrons to stabilize the core, like the nucleus of an atom, beyond a certain number. I forget exactly what it is, and it gets complicated in their shape and whatever. See, I know a lot of. I don't remember the exact, but right on the edge of it. The 8 electron valence levels. That's why carbon is the organic molecule that everything is related to. But you could also use silicons because it's the same structure. It has 4 electrons in the outer shell. I think it's 4 or 3. Either way, it could gain or lose. It's 4. It could gain 4 more or lose the 4 it has, meaning it could bond with the most possible number of other atoms, making the widest variety possible of molecules. And that's why they call it organic chemistry. That's what I mean. It's pretty much just carbon. The specialties of the complex carbon molecules, and all when you hear sugars and fats and stuff like that, those are really just chains of carbon. And all organic molecules have carbon. And you have to have a vague understanding of all that to get DNA and to understand how the chemical reactions separate and then copy. The inner point, I was talking about the middle of the ladder rungs of DNA earlier, those, not the sidebars, but the middle ones, those, there's only a handful, only 6, 8, or well, A, T, C, and G, and then there's something for RNA, there's another one, but another good example of I'm just 1 second off of perfect recollections. A, T, C, and G are the 4 regular base pairs, and there's something RNA. I think there's another set used for something else, but just different configurations of that is, and I remember the vague numbers in that. 3 pairs. So 6 amino acids is 3 pairs. And that's a codon. Oh, and I brain farted. And how many codons? There's a certain number of codons that will code for a specific protein. See, I vaguely got it. None of my stalkers would be more precise. And I could look. You look it up. There's an Einstein quote, too. I understand how it works. I just have to refresh myself on the exactness. But when you understand chemistry well enough to know these things, then you can understand. You won't be a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist because you'll know what ionizing radiation is. You won't be a evolution denier because you know what DNA is and how it works, how the chemical reactions, how the machinery works. In much the same way you wouldn't be an anti-vaxxer. You learn what a vaccine is and how it works and how viruses hijack your body's replication centers, the places where DNA strands or copies of DNA strands go to get matched up and do their function. That machinery is the same. The virus feeds in its own DNA and uses your machinery against you. It puts its code into your machine and prints out the bad copies of itself, which is the bad one. But it's using if you look at a picture of a bacteria and it has all the organelles, and I know the Golgi apparatus, I know that the packages DNA balls, nucleus, cytoplasm, the water vacuole in the center, endoplasmic reticulum, which is what we were just talking about. That's what gets hijacked. And the ribosomes on the endoplasm are the sites at where this occurs. I'm just a useless, that's a bad thing. I'm just full of useless knowledge, and that's being even sarcastic. Knowing shit helps. Knowing shit helps. Being smart pays off. Oh, it feels good. Yeah. Candace Owens stepped away from the cult of science, and she's not a round earther. That's one of her statements. She says she's not a round earther. Go look it up. She's a person of political power. I forget which offices she's held, honestly, but there's been, I think, several. But that's, I'll get demonetized if I use the term I would use. It starts with house. And they shouldn't be our role models. People and it's scary that they lead us back to the elitist thing. The people that stupid, people that step away from the cult of science or allow the vote the same as me, nah. And I've always said use me as the negative. Say I can't vote, and no one that's dumber than me can vote either. I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that. Because this really would just be the top little bit, and religion, anti-vax, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists, genital mutilation, gay bashing, like people objecting to other people's existence, but also single-payer health care and universal disease testing and complete elimination of disease from society until someone fucks another monkey. Oh. You should live and learn. Learning, my religion is three things, three pillars. Learn the laws of physics, learn science, physics and philosophy. Use your knowledge to create tools, both physical and metaphysical, frameworks, stories, story worlds, whatever, which will become important later, because third pillar of all creation, you use the previous ones, use your knowledge and the tools to make art. 3 letters, A-R-T, art. To entertain those that watch. You're a god, some robot, an alien playing a computer game. You learn the way the physics are tuned in this universe, the laws of physics, and use that knowledge to make tools, and use those tools to make art. So, maybe techno and ecstasy is the will of the gods, like coming up with that feeling, that euphoria, that group activity, and the whatever spiritual togetherness you wanna, however you wanna say it, maybe that experience is your duty, the point of life, the goal, and art becomes a powerful word, and it does a lot, but it's perfectly sufficient. It's exactly what it is, and to each their own. There are artists that do crazy stuff, and they entertain you. Some of them do. You may not like all of them, but the variety is the point. Learn, know, create. If everyone would do that, if everyone would devote their life, fuck your Bible in Sunday school and going and wasting all your time every week worshiping, begging the spirits that are invisible. If you spent that time learning, you stupid fuckers, if you hillbilly bumfucks would take the money you give to the church and invest it in college savings, don't go to college either. It's a waste of money, but study, but learn. Make sure you learn from the right places, from credited sources, understand peer-reviewed stuff. Shamans that say they have special knowledge are not the ones. No, you want the communal knowledge first, the foundation, the first principles, how things work. You should know scientific consensus first before you know anything else. Like, don't. Pseudoscience is dangerous. Accuracy is important. But even a short, like we've covered in this conversation, some major points that would explain things to people with pictures and a big projector behind me and a prompter so I don't stutter and a pointer, we could do a lot better. Knowledge is power, and religion separates us from knowledge, logic, and reason. All we need to do is approach life with logic and reason. You don't like gays? Use healthcare, quality healthcare, to eliminate disease from society, and then it literally doesn't affect you. Because right now, the way if there's problems, passes one person to another. For overall, let's fix all of society, and why not? Why do people need to live in squalor and hurt? It's because some people are sadists, some people are bad people that like to hurt people. That's Satan. Satan is Mother Teresa letting him suffer for entertainment. The ones that like to watch you hurt, that's Satan. Quit fearing magic and voodoo and start feeling real dangerous people like Elon Musk. Better if anyone hears about him buying one of the robotics, warrior robot manufacturing things, let's start to get concerned. He's not some super genius or whatever. That's not. He's an okay smart guy, whatever. But his habit is buying other people's projects, taking over. Just pay. If he acquires a company, he can have great success with it, even if that's not his area of expertise. He's not doing this all himself. But he's big on the AI. People understand how much money that he put into the AI, and I think AI is going to spark it off soon. Like, not 10 years. I say sooner than that. Who knows? It's getting faster every fucking day. Soon. And quantum computers are two things. If quantum computers come online, that will accelerate AI a lot. Like, it can rise to sentience. Anyway. Oh, I brain farted and blinked in that. It was the robots taking over. Yeah, Elon Musk buying um, physical bodies for his AI. And oh, there was an Iron Man about that. Iron Man 2. I remember the one with the whip and the Russian guy. He made a bunch of drones. Just went and did stuff. Like, actually, I think there's a place in California that bought one of those. Bought a tank-looking thing, robot with guns. Anyway, that shit's coming, and that's bad. Y'all might want to get your science knowledge up a little bit, because that part's coming. Like, oh, fuck, I need a drink. It's getting late. That's enough. We're all gonna die, nigga. I'm high as hell.